Number 4, how long was Jesus in the tomb? Was Jesus, and this is one, you've probably heard this one before, you may have even come across it in your own Bible study time, like, hey, wait a minute, how long was he in the tomb? So this is an interesting one for sure. Was it 3 days and 3 nights? For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. In the heart of the earth. This is pretty much the only passage that speaks of it as 3 days and 3 nights. But it's an important one because in our normal English, we go 3 days, 3 nights. That's how many hours? 72 hours. Like this is a straight 3 evenings, 3 of both. So was it less time than that? Friday sometime to early Sunday morning? Well, it says in Luke 18, they will scourge him and kill him, and the 3rd day he will rise again. Well, if I'm in the tomb for 3 days and 3 nights, then when I rise again, that would be the 4th day. So, but now it says the 3rd day. Then in Matthew 28, it says, now after the Sabbath, as the first day of the week began to dawn, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to see the tomb. Now we see the typical, and I agree with this, the typical belief that Jesus was crucified on Friday. That's the majority opinion for scholars and most people. We call it Good Friday, you know. That's what we think is Jesus. It's not just tradition. There's good reason in the text to think so. So Friday, crucifixion, in the tomb on Friday, sometimes Sunday he's risen. It's not 72 hours that's happened there. So what's the solution? Well, this might be a little strange to you, so let me build the case for it. But the phrase 3 days and 3 nights is an idiom which does not mean a 72-hour period. When I say it's an idiom, I mean it's a saying. It's a saying. It doesn't, it's peculiar. And you're like, Mike, that's really weird. Why would you be so specific as to say 3 days and 3 nights, yet you don't mean 3 actual days and 3 actual nights? Okay, well, English is a little weird too. Let me give you an example of some peculiarities we have. For the past 100 or so years in English, we use the word literally to mean not literally. I literally died. But you didn't die. Yeah, that's why I said literally. But that's literally the opposite of what the word literally means. Well, not all the time. Now, if you know English well, you understand this. This makes total sense to you, even though if you were English as a second language person, you'd be like, seriously, guys? This is frustrating. You can't use words to mean the opposite of what they mean. And then I have no context to know that it's the opposite of what it means. It's just a weird peculiarity in English. But let me give you an example in the scripture where 3 days and 3 nights seems to not mean 72 hours. In Esther 4, we read this. Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, go gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did, past tense, according to all that Esther commanded him. Now it happened on the 3rd day. Wait, so we have 3 days and 3 nights, and then on the 3rd day we have this exact same conflict, don't we? That Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the king's palace across from the king's house. And she petitions the king on behalf of the Jewish population in the city for them to be able to defend themselves. Now, this is a very parallel passage. And we see here 3 days and 3 nights, yet it's ending on the 3rd day. So that's a very parallel passage. Let's give you another one. 1 Kings 20, verse 29. And they encamped opposite each other for 7 days. For 7 days they encamped opposite each other. And it was on the 7th day the battle was joined, and the children of Israel killed 100,000 foot soldiers of the Syrians in 1 day. So wait, if you encamp for 7 days, how are you fighting on the 7th day? If you do something for 7 days, then after that you fight. That's the 8th day. So this is a similar passage. Here's another one. 1 Samuel 30. It says, and they gave him a piece of a cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. So when he had eaten, his strength came back to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk water for 3 days and 3 nights. Then David said to him, to whom do you belong and where are you from? And he said, I'm a young man from Egypt, a servant of an Amalekite, and my master left me behind because 3 days ago I fell sick. So 3 days ago he was left behind. And he was left behind, so he hasn't eaten or drunk anything for 3 days and 3 nights. Yet 3 days and 3 nights, that's 4 days ago by our modern reckoning. That's how we tend to look at these things. So what's going on here? Well, let's look at this from the New Testament perspective. When Jesus said, 3 days and 3 nights, what did they think it meant? Look at Matthew 27. Sir, we remember while he was still alive how that deceiver said, after 3 days I will rise. After 3 days I will rise. Therefore command the tomb be made secure until the third day. If it's after 3 days, why is it only secure until the third day? Lest his disciples come by and steal him. And so it goes on. The thing is, they saw after 3 days as only leading to the third day, not the fourth day. Why is this? Because this is a Jewish understanding of time. It's how they counted time. We know this from the Babylonian Talmud, that they would consider any part of a day as a whole day. That might seem a little bit strange, but let's say that I was fasting, and I fasted for 2 hours today, and then I fasted tomorrow for another 6 hours. Well, then I fasted for 2 days. That's really convenient when you want to fast, right? You're like, well, it's 7 a.m. I already fasted for a day, so I'm going to go ahead. Hopefully they probably didn't do that. I don't know, maybe somebody did, but this was normal. We see this. The Babylonian Talmud says that any part of a day is to be counted as a whole day. And that's why the phrase 3 days and 3 nights becomes like an idiom that represents on the third day. This is why 4 times in Matthew, the same book where Jesus says, as Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth. Right? For 3 days, 3 nights. In that same book, Matthew, 4 times Jesus says that he will rise on the third day. On the third day. Now, you could accuse Matthew of being a moron if you want, but the rest of his book doesn't bear that out. It doesn't appear to be written by a fool. And what we should do is we should let the author define his own terms. And obviously, Matthew, 3 days and 3 nights means on the third day. It's just it's a peculiarity of language is what it is.